This is the Miss Libertarian podcast. I'm your host, Jess, and today we're at Freedom Fest, and I'm honoured to be joined with the president of LOLA, Nena. Today I found out a very interesting fact, that LOLA was founded at Freedom Fest in 2009, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Would you be able to tell us a bit about that?
So it was a bunch of girls coming from the Ron Paul campaign, and we all got together, just kind of hanging out, meeting up, and realized how amazing it felt to be in a room of like-minded ladies. It's so rare. Even on the campaign when I worked for Ron Paul, it was me and like 8 guys. And I had the issues that I cared about. I learned so much about economics and the things that the government does that affect us here every day that I never really thought about before. I just wasn't very political, I guess. But I got a lot more passionate about these issues, and I think I had a similar road as many other women at this time. And so getting together with other women who felt passionately about liberty as well, we just thought there has to be more of this. We have to meet again and again and again and again. And so now we're all around the world with people who feel the same way. They're finally meeting people with similar ideas.
What's LOLA's journey been like since 2009 till today? How has it developed and what has it grown into?
Okay, so in 2009, we just all knew that we wanted to keep meeting and keep doing it. Some people wanted it to be a think tank or do what we're doing now, chapters, or we had lots of different initiatives. Like we had this site that was similar to Facebook, but it was just for Ladies of Liberty, which was cool. But when I became the president in 2010, I thought, let's just focus on training, getting libertarian women the tools they need to promote our ideas. And then chapters began on their own, kind of organically. People wanted to have more meetings. Like we would have a training in a city and they would say, just like we did at Freedom Fest in 2009, wow, this feels so good. How could we get more of this? And we didn't have a training planned. So it started on its own. People just wanting to keep meeting with each other and develop friendships and develop relationships and, working partners toward liberty. So that's how we started the chapters, and that kind of just snowballed. And now we do chapters and training with our speakers bureau, kind of a whole trifecta.
Why do you think there's such a demand for women's spaces in the liberty movement? And how do you think women react in women's spaces compared to just general libertarian spaces?
We haven't really been trying to make it happen like that. It happened organically on its own. The demand was there, and we're simply filling the demand. I mean, just how I felt in 2009, knowing that I wasn't alone, is how everybody feels when they find a LOLA chapter by them. And then they get to learn more about the ideas, and it sort of solidifies everything that we've come to believe. And that on its own is a reason enough. But LOLA also, it's not just for the feel-good part, like we individually feel good about what we're doing. It's fun, and we're making friends. It's also because women who speak to larger audiences get those people who the traditional speaker on liberty issues isn't reaching, because that's a new speaker.
So how would you compare LOLA in 2009 compared to where LOLA is at today, and how does that make you feel?
Okay, in 2009 we didn't really know what we were going to do, so we were a bit disjointed. We had some organization, but we were still putting everything together and figuring out how it would go. In 2010 is when I started doing the paperwork to become a 501c3, which is just an important step in becoming a more established organization. And that way we could actually get donations that would be tax deductible, so we could grow and get staff, and it wouldn't just be a bunch of volunteers, which is what we were. Now, because we are fulfilling demand, we are growing in the chapters and also training, and we have grown not just in the US, but in many other parts of the world. So it's not only bigger, but much more organized. Now we've got, multiple staff members who are helping different trains run on time. So people won't come to LOLA and be confused about what they can do next. They are led and understand more what the next steps would be if they want to get more involved and learn more about liberty or LOLA. There's easy next steps. It's not kind of disjointed.
Why do you think leadership training is needed for specifically women?
It's probably needed for everyone, but specifically women. For LOLA, it's that liberty-minded women are more empathetic. Research shows that they are more empathetic than libertarian men. Therefore, they're going to be able to communicate better to the people who we haven't reached. So, they'll communicate better to liberals, independents, and women overall. And especially to the people who are apathetic, who don't think that politics matters or they're not into it, but it affects us every day. I wasn't interested in economics until I really learned more about it, and it affects all of us every day. So that's why we're focused on bringing women in through the chapters, getting them excited to be here, feeling like they're home in the liberty movement, and then training them to become more effective activists.
Great. So what would you say are the main issues raised by women that are oftentimes probably dismissed by the liberty movement as a whole or brushed aside in comparison? Do you think there are differences between what the liberty movement focuses on compared to what LOLAs tend to focus on?
It's not that we're focused on new things. It's that we present the same ideas in a different way. So if we're talking about gun control, a young woman on campus who wants to defend herself in the evening, walking home from class is just more compelling for gun control than somebody who wants to protect their Camaro and their pool full of gold coins. Then that applies to everything. I mean, a woman who is like a retired woman who's living on a fixed income is going to be more affected by inflation than just a regular guy on TV. And so because they're very affected, they're also more compelling because everybody can think more, oh, that's my grandma.
So we've brushed up upon how LOLA differs from general liberty movements. What about compared to other women's movements? Do you think, why do you think there's a need for ladies of liberty rather than just a general women's group?
Okay, as I mentioned about economics, I wasn't super interested in it before, and it's not that exciting and sexy, but it affects us every day, all the time. Like inflation is a real thing that we could have all seen happen, because when you inflate the money supply, that will happen. So every dollar that every woman and man has is now worth less than it was, and people on both sides are trying to distract us with these other topics that really don't affect everybody every day in the same way. They're just trying to raise money maybe, or get their politician of choice in office, but it's just not an issue that actually affects us every day. So Lola's talking about that. I mean, no one else is.
So what would you say is the biggest threat to liberty today?
I think the biggest threat is something that affects us all day, every day, the economy. Rising inflation is affecting all of us. Plenty of people just trying to get by, put food on the table for their children. Food is costing more. People are making the same. That's a real issue that they just really don't talk about every day on the news. People are not as outraged as they should be.